Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Zach Chat. My name's Zach Ballard, and over the next few weeks, I'll be dropping my conference championship game predictions for each of the Power 5 conferences in college football. The videos will drop every Monday at noon. They'll consist of a little dive into the conference, my picks for the conference championship game, and my pick to win the conference. Make sure to tune in. For my first installment of the conference championship title game predictions, I'm going to start with the SEC. The SEC has been the most dominant conference in college football over the last 15 years, winning 11 of the national titles. And I know that 6 of those have come from Alabama, but you've also got 2 from Florida, 2 from LSU, 1 from Auburn. So 4 teams winning the national championship game, 3 of them from one division, does a lot of work when you're trying to argue the depth of your conference, especially when no other conference has more than 3. So, unfortunately, heading into 2021, something I've noticed over the SEC, in the last decade is that it's a very top-heavy conference. While there's a lot of talent dispersed on these lower-tier teams, they don't have the coaching, they don't have the development, so you always see the same teams winning. You've always got Alabama, Georgia, LSU, and every once in a while a Florida and Auburn will sneak in and win the conference title. But typically, you're looking at Alabama and Georgia. That's why, for my pick, I've got Alabama and Georgia making it to the conference championship game next year. You look at some of the teams they'll have to face. You've got teams like Auburn. Auburn's replacing Gus Malzahn for the first time since 2013. They'll start Brian Harsin as their new head coach. The longtime head coach of the Boise State Broncos did a great job there. We'll see how he deals with the pressure and scrutiny that comes with an SEC head football coaching job. Teams like LSU are trying to rebuild after a terrible 5-5 season last year. They're kind of riding the wave of that 2019 national championship game because they've signed back-to-back top 5 classes, and heading into 2022, they're at number 2 in the rankings right now. Florida's replacing Heisman finalist Kyle Trask, probably with talented junior Emory Jones, but they're also replacing a ton of skill position talent. Guys like Kadarius Toney, Kyle Pitts, Trayvon Grimes. These are guys that are going to be hard for Florida to replace. We saw what they looked like against Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. We're going to need to see more from Florida heading in if I have any chance to believe that they can beat a team like Alabama or Georgia, who they play both of those teams next year. I see Georgia running through the SEC East pretty easily next season. I know they've got a tough matchup with Florida every single year, the biggest cocktail party in the world. But I just don't think any team in the SEC East especially really can stand the talent level that Georgia has. Listen, they start the season, though, against Clemson. So if they can get through that game, I have no reason to believe that they won't head into the SEC championship game undefeated. They've got tons of returning talent, especially at quarterback. You got JT Daniels, who went a perfect 4-0 as the Georgia quarterback. I have no idea why it took them until the 9th game to realize that he was supposed to be the starter there. He seems to me to be far and away the most talented player, or especially quarterback on that team. He's got weapons like Kearis Jackson, George Pickens, Jermaine Burton. He's got Darnell Washington at tight end. He's bringing back his top 5 running backs from last season. And we all know that Georgia always brings in top running backs in the country. So I have no reason to think that Georgia's offense won't be very explosive. We always know their defense is going to be very athletic, very mean, and they're going to be very talented. Especially it's Kirby Smart's unit. That's what he does. He's a defensive coach. But I expect Georgia to make it to the SEC championship game pretty easily. If they can get through Clemson, I think they'll get there undefeated. And then from the West, I've got Alabama. Shocking. I know that Alabama's replacing a ton of talent, potentially 6 first-round draft picks, but they just signed 7 5-stars in their 2021 class. It was the best recruiting class in the history of 247. Not to mention in the 2020 class, they brought in Bryce Young, who was the number 1 overall quarterback, number 2 overall player, and he's going to take over in place of Mac Jones. They are replacing Steve Sarkisian, who left to go be the head coach at Texas, but they brought in Bill O'Brien, who was the head coach of the Texans for a long time. Never mind some of the decisions he made as Texans head coach, letting go of players like DeAndre Hopkins, J.J. Watt, and potentially Deshaun Watson as well. He's a good offensive mind. So I think with a talented player like Bryce Young, all the receiving weapons they'll have, the running backs that they'll bring back, I have no reason to think that Alabama won't run through the SEC West, especially like I said earlier, a lot of these teams are rebuilding and they're restarting with new pieces. Heading into that game, it's tough to imagine Georgia beating Alabama. The last 3 times they've played Alabama, they've led at halftime, and they've let the game slip away late, or even like last year, they didn't put up any points in the second half, and they kind of got run out of the stadium. But this is the year I think Georgia exercises all their demons, and they take out Alabama in the SEC championship game improving to 13-0, definitely making a case for the number one spot overall in the college football playoff. What will be interesting is to see is if Alabama's 12-0 and their only loss is to Georgia in the SEC championship game, will the college football playoff put them in? We've seen the BCS do it with Alabama. We've seen the college football playoff put them in without even winning their division of the SEC. So I have reason to believe that if Georgia wins the SEC championship game, there's a potential to see two SEC teams in the college football playoff. But as for right now, I do have Georgia winning the SEC championship. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Zach Chat. My name is Zach Ballard. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button at the bottom of the page, and thanks for watching.